You're now listening to the legendary Vinyl Esquire. You're now listening to the legendary Vinyl
Esquire. The podcast that uplifts the DJ culture and honors our legends. Vinyl Esquire with DJ Rip.
DJ Rondevu.
Vinyl Esquire.
DJ
Vinyl Esquire.
Vinyl Esquire. Culture, truth, music.
Hey, yo, what's poppin'? Sean, fucking with DJ Rondevu. Alright?
Vinyl Esquire.
DJ Rondevu. This is DJ
Vinyl Esquire. Vinyl Esquire. Hello world, I want to welcome you to Vinyl Esquire, the podcast that delivers culture, truth, music. Would you join me, please, in welcoming DJ Rip?
Hello world, I want to welcome you to Vinyl Esquire, and my name is DJ Rip, and Vinyl Esquire is the legendary podcast that uplifts the DJ culture and honors our legends. And without further ado, I would like to welcome to Vinyl Esquire, the legendary Mixtape DJ, the legendary tour DJ for Das Effects. I would like to welcome to Vinyl Esquire, DJ Rondevu.
Blip, blip, blip. Yeah, Rip, what's up, man? Thanks for having me on. What's up?
Rondevu, how you doing, man?
Hey, man, I'm good, man. I'm blessed, man. I can't complain.
That's wonderful. Everything good with you? Family safe? Everything is cool?
Everything is cool, man. All the crazy stuff going on in the world, I can't complain, man. I'm good. I'm blessed. For real. Word up.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, Rondevu, I want to thank you for allowing me to interview you for Vinyl Esquire. Like I said before, Vinyl Esquire is the podcast that uplifts the DJ culture and honors our legends. You're a legendary DJ. What you've done for the mixtape game and the DJ culture is incredible. So, I want to get right to it. I want to take it all the way back for you, Rondevu.
All right.
So, Rondevu, can you tell me who or what made you want to be a DJ?
Oh, man. I mean, I came up in a musical family, you know what I'm saying? Like, my pops was in a band, you know what I'm saying? So he had the band to practice in my basement in my crib. So I was always around music, and I was always around records, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And I used to always be messing with. I used to play, you know, I was in school, I played some instruments. I played the guitar for like 5 years in grade school. So I was always kind of musically inclined. And I was always messing with the records, but when hip-hop really started to hit, it's when I knew I wanted to be a DJ. Probably the biggest influence, I would say, probably around that time, probably Jam Master Jay. I mean, also before that, there was Grandmaster Flash, but as I was getting a little older, I kind of really gravitated to Jam Master Jay, you know what I'm saying? Like, when Run DMC hit, even before that, I was taking my little, you know, birthday money and allowance money, going to the record store and buying records, whether it be Michael Jackson or whatever.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But once I really, you know, Run DMC hit, and that's when I saw Jam Master Jay. And I'll never forget, you know, one of the first times I saw like Jam Master Jay on Video Music Box. Big up to Ralph McDaniels for everything he's done for the culture. But when I saw Run DMC at Fresh Fest,
Right. Absolutely.
And I saw him come that run. Yo, I knew this is what I had to do.
Got you. Okay, so what year would you say you started DJing, and what was your first DJ name?
Oh, man. I would say around 82, 83. And, I mean, when I say I was DJing, like, I didn't have two Techni 1200s and a mixer. Like, I just had, like, I would get records. Either I would be messing with my father's records, or I'll go buy my own little records, or maybe trade with some of my friends from my little breakdance crew on the block.
Okay.
But, man, first couple of records I had was like Run DMC, Fearless 4, and I was just making like pause tapes and Roxanne, you know, UTFO around that time. And I was making pause tapes on the house turntable. Like, you know, everybody had, you know, the house rack turntable in the living room.
Right.
And, that's how I started. I don't even know if I even had a DJ name at that. I was just doing it, you know what I'm saying? So I was just DJing, making my little pause tapes, and that's pretty much how it started, like around 82, 83.
Okay.
You know?
So
Now, as far as DJ name, I can't remember as that time having a quote unquote DJ name, but I knew I was interested in DJing. You know what I mean?
Got you. So talk to me about your beginnings, right? You're from Brooklyn, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so talk to me about your beginnings as a DJ. How did you become DJ Rondevu?
Well, DJ Rondevu, how I became DJ Rondevu. Well, as you know, I was saying, I was always into music from, when I was a little kid and being in a, musical environment, even with the drum machines and everything. I used to even make my first little beats and stuff on my father's band's drum machines and all that from around the same time, from like 82, 83 on up. And then, when I got into high school, I kind of got away from it for a little bit, just playing football and just hanging out, being a kid. But I was still always into music heavily, but I wasn't buying the records as much and all that. But around senior years, like when I really kind of came back to DJing, like, I really want to get back into this, and really got into it. So like when I was about 17 in high school, that's when I really started to stock up my record collection heavily, like spending all my money. That's it on records. I wouldn't even eat lunch sometimes, just taking my lunch money to buy records. And from being from Brooklyn, I was, doing a lot of different styles. Like a lot of dudes, hip hop dudes, they can't play reggae. I'm from Brooklyn, so I had to know reggae music. It was all around me too.
Right.
So I was heavily influenced by the reggae culture and the reggae scene as well. When it comes even to things like the sound effects and all that, like, honestly, like when you hear a lot of these guys using the sampler, I was one of the pioneers of that style. Like a lot of people to this day, like, yo, you the first person I ever heard, or we hear DDD, people like stuttering the sample name. Like I was doing that way before everybody. And I kind of was influenced by the reggae sound systems, because they always had like sound effects, like the siren or the gunshot. Like a lot of these were on the mixer. They had like little sound effects built into the mixer, or you could get an outboard, a separate sound effect box. So around that time, I was definitely heavily into reggae, and of course heavily into hip hop. So they were just hand in hand, especially in Brooklyn. It's like two sides of the block. One side is hardcore West Indian people with reggae music, and the other side American-born people, and it's just 100% hip-hop. So I was into both. And this is around, like I said, high school time. That's when I came up with my first DJ name that I had for about 2 weeks. It was DJ Crime. And
okay.
Well, when I got rid of that, because it was a joke name, because I don't want to get too deep into it, but it was a T-shirt from way back in the days, and there was a kid on it with the name Crime. I want to go, and if you Google Meatman, you will see what I was talking about. I was like 16, a little kid, and it was just kind of a joke. Like, so I used DJ Crime, but I was like, I ain't no criminal.
Right,
so
right.
I want to give the wrong impression. So I changed my name at the time then to Ron Love, which I used for a couple months, which was kind of generic. And then, a little down the line, I came up with Rondevu, because one, Rondevu, I was kind of just, I always traveled a lot. I was always on the move, and I was always rendezvousing, if you will. And then, and also when I, at the same time, a good friend of mine, Dominique, his name was Dominique, I got murdered in front of a club, and I was like literally standing a few feet from him. This was just a crazy incident in Brooklyn.
Wow, okay.
And this was in front of Club Rondevu. If anybody in Brooklyn remembers Club Rondevu on Utica Avenue around Clarkson, that was like in the early 90s, like 91.
Right, okay.
That was a real popping club. And I remember one night we were out there, and it was like 400, 500 people just on the block, just in the street, outside the club just hanging. And then all of a sudden my man, he caught one in the head a few feet from me. And it just, after that, it was kind of a memoriam to him, and it kind of all just clicked. Like, my name is Rondevu. I'm always rendezvousing. I'm always meeting up people and traveling and going around the place. So it just kind of, the light bulb went off one day. And hey, that kind of got a little ring to it. So there it is. It was DJ Rondevu. And then, around that time, I was spelling it like the proper way you spell rendezvous, but instead of REN, R-O-N.
Right.
But I had to change that. Big up to, if anybody out there, you got to know Sam's Orbit on Chambers Street. Anybody knows anything about the mixtape game of the early 90s, everybody knows Sam's Orbit. And I was just on the come up trying to get my stuff in there. And, he believed in me because he was dealing with, at that time, the bigger dudes, But he saw my hustle and he listened to my tape like, yo, this is a good tape. I'm going to put your tape in here. But then people would like reading my tape list and they would call me Rondevu. You know what I'm saying? Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He kind of suggested to me like, hey, let's change the name of your spelling. And on the tape he wrote Rondevu. So this was like around 92, 93 when he did this, Sam, big up to Sam out there. Anybody knows who he is. If you're from New York and you know the mixtape game, you gotta know. So big up to Sam from Sam's Orbit. He changed the spelling of my name to Rondevu, as we know it today. And I've been riding with Rondevu
ever
since then.
Gotcha. So would you say that that's your breakout moment as DJ Rondevu? Not getting famous and not in the industry per se, but would that be the breakout moment where you said, I'm DJ Rondevu? This is my identity. Yeah, definitely. That was when it kind of, Got you.
When my name, the spelling, and it kind of definitely, the name sounded good, but it didn't look good. You know what I'm saying? Like when you saw it, it was like, it didn't really, hit you like that. But Rondevu, then I'm like, hey, yeah, this works. This was what it sounded good, but now this is it. So that was when I really got, the identity of Rondevu.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
All right, so let's elaborate a little bit on this because, Rondevu, you're a well-known, famous mixtape DJ. So talk to me about how the mixtape thing, you touched on it a little bit right there. Elaborate a little bit on how this all started for you. How did the mixtape phenomenon for Rondevu happen?
Oh man, it was a lot of years in the making, you know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like an overnight thing. It was well over a decade, before I really think I would say that I really was getting shine. Like it was early 90s, I was coming up. I was making all kind of local mixtapes for people, and I was spreading my name. The next, people start dubbing your tapes, and next, people in other neighborhoods and other states got your tapes.
Okay,
that's how.
Okay, hold on. This is when this is before CDs, right? This is
way before. This
right.
Is tapes.
Cassette tapes. Okay, go ahead.
Cassettes. Maxell days, you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
with the
sir.
telex machines and all that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, go ahead.
So even before the telex, this is I was dubbing them in the crib on the double cassette. And then later on, as I moved up in the game, I was, using telex machines. Everybody, from the tape game, if you've been around, you know what I'm saying when I say a telex machine. That was like a 3-to-1 copy machine. We put in one tape and you make 3 copies, so you could chain them together and do multiple copies at one time. So it was like, early 90s, and I was trying to make my little tapes. And they were sounding good, but, I didn't find my true identity as a mixtape DJ yet. Like my mixtapes, they were always well put together. Like they weren't slapped together with, no mixing and no thought. And I always had off the chart blends. Mm-hmm. Like that was always the strongest point of any mixtapes that I ever did. Well, the mixing might be flawless and the transitions, and I was the pioneer when it came to mixtapes and the sound effects. I had an MPC. Remember I was telling you about the reggae sound effects?
Right.
I started loading up. First I had the sampler on my mixer, and I had the sound effect box, like the reggae sound effects, and I was loading sound effects off of records, off of wherever, into the little 8-second sampler, like on a Scratch Master.
Yep.
That was on my early mixes. And then as I was growing, and I started producing, and I had an MPC, then I loaded the whole MPC, all the pads, like 2 pads worth, two pad banks of just sound effects, like through the roof, sirens, gunshots, my name, all different kind of samples of my name from different records, like the Rondevu from Jay-Z. That's from, I believe, a SWV remix, or
right.
or like my trademark, the DJ Rondevu. That everybody, people that see me in the streets to this day. So DJ Rondevu, like I was, I ain't gonna say I was the first. There's no idea is original. There's always somebody doing something similar. But when it comes to doing that, the stuttering on the sampler with your name, I can't think of nobody that was doing that before me. And there were a lot of even other hip hop DJs like, damn, why are you using all these sound effects? Like, yo, what's that all about?
Right.
Nah, man, this is how I'm trying to separate myself from everybody else. Everybody else, I didn't really want to talk on my mixtapes. I wanted it to flow, and the sound effects where I would, tag it, identify myself, and also use the sound effects to help build the mood and the energy of the mixtapes.
Got you.
So from there, I just kept building, and I was making good mixtapes for a while, but I wasn't, full time with it. I was kind of part time with it because I was doing a little bit of everything. I was DJing parties in Brooklyn, and up and down even the East Coast, like from down to like Atlanta up to New York. I was going out of town here, and there were people that I was building with, doing parties and doing all that. And then I was, as a producer, I was putting in a lot of work as a producer too. So I was spending a lot of time, looking for records, digging in the crates. I was in the lab just learning the MPC, teach myself production techniques, learning how to use all the keyboard modules and link up the MIDI and all that. You know what I'm saying? So I was spending a lot of time on my production craft too. And then, I would make a mixtape, every couple months, but I wasn't doing it consistently where, I could really build an audience. Like, people would hear my stuff, and I was building a little name, and they were like, yo, everybody knew I was nice, but I wasn't, climbing the ranks like a lot of other DJs, because that's all they were doing. While I was doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And then, even later on, like around 98, that's when I met Das Effects. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Big Boo from East New York and DJ Dice. That's Big Boo's cousin. I met Das Effects mainly through Big Boo.
Gotcha.
And
okay.
They were doing a show down in Virginia, and he was like, "Yo, bro, you gotta come meet these guys. You gotta come meet them yourself. I can't. You gotta step to them and handle your business yourself. Ain't nobody gonna do it for you like you." So we went down to Virginia. I gave them my beat CD, and we were riding to the show, and we were like right behind them in like a little convoy. And they were in the Tahoe, and we were right behind them in Big Boo's Benz. And the whole ride to the show, they had one of my beats on the CD on repeat.
Okay.
So that's when I started rocking with them. So we'll get to that in a minute. But I met Das Effects as a producer.
Gotcha.
So I was producing, you know what I'm saying? And I was really, at that time, I was really focusing on producing, like from, I would say, like 96 to like 2001, 2002. My main focus was really on producing. Even though I was still doing parties, I was like, I still enjoyed it.
Right,
and it was a hustle. That was kind of my job too. I was making money. I was party DJ. I was doing mixtapes too. I wasn't, really making bad money, or I'll make a couple of dollars, but I was making a mixtape, and they were good mixtapes, but I wasn't focusing on it. And I was just doing a whole lot of everything. So, and then after, I became Das Effects DJ in 99, that even more took time away from, from mixtapes. We'll get back to the Das Effects thing, but just about the mixtapes, I wasn't doing it enough.
Okay. So now stop for a second. All right. Yes, I want to get back to the Das Effects collaboration and you being there too, a DJ. All right. So let's get back to the mixtapes, and then we'll get to that. Okay. So
all right.
So on the mixtape side, when did you get to the point where it's like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put my heart into the mixtape game. And how did you approach doing the mixtapes? Was it, you touched a little bit on it, sound effects and the crazy blends, but just elaborate a little bit on, how did you differentiate yourself from all of the other competition that was doing mixtapes at the time?
Definitely. All right. Well, boom. This is like around 2003. I had just moved to Virginia with my, wife and 3 kids, you know what I'm saying? And
got you.
I'm out there rolling with Das, and at that time we had an album we were putting out, the last studio album called How We Do, which I produced the title track. But we were out trying to really make something happen, trying to shock the world, make a big comeback. And then it kind of didn't pan out the way we wanted to. And around that, after, things kind of fell through, they kind of took a break. They kind of decided, we're going to go our separate ways for a little bit, just for a little while. And I was like, okay. I was kind of putting a lot of my eggs in that basket that, we're going to come back. We're going to shock the world and we're going to be on top again. And it didn't pan out like that.
Okay.
So I'm here, and I was in Virginia. I was like, all right, what you going to do now? And I didn't really want to be, Mr. Club DJ doing parties, all weekend. I'd kind of done that period of my, I was already from Thursday through Sunday DJing clubs or wherever it might be.
Right.
And I didn't really want to go back to doing that. And I was like, this mixtape shit, man, you never really gave it your all. You were always dabbling in it, and you always showed a lot of potential. And everybody, even, other business people like, yo, man, you could really do something in this game. And I was kind of busy doing other things. And like I said, the DOS Effects thing, touring all over the world with DOS Effects, producing DOS Effects and putting out, white label records and doing stuff like that. I was really focused more on producing and touring for a little while. But around 2003, that's when, I had put out a mixtape called The Four Horsemen. And that mixtape was, up until that time, that was the most effort I had put into any mixtape or even into almost any project. Like I was putting out DVDs that took months to make because, I would have to film, for a week here, and then it would take a while, but it wasn't like I put together a month and a half, 2 months of steady work every day.
Right.
Because, it took a long time in those days to make a DVD. It took months. But when came time around 2003, I put out The Four Horsemen. And that right there is the mixtape that kind of, you could say, changed my life.
Wow.
Because I realized, your remixes are always way off the charts. Like, nobody was making the type of blends and remixes that I was doing. Because I wasn't just doing blends. Like, blends is when you take two records, one with acapella and one with a beat, instrumental, and you mix them.
Right.
And I had mastered that. And I was more even on remixes where I would take an instrumental and take different verses from different songs, from different artists, and create a new record. And I might create a new hook. Or the instrumental might be an instrumental that there is no instrumental for. And I use my production savvy to take little pieces from different parts of the record and recreate and reconstruct an instrumental to a song that there was no instrumental. And the main thing was just making it sound like a natural record, a remix, where a lot of, dudes, they do a blend like, oh, that's a cool blend.
Right, no doubt.
But what I was trying to do was, you're like, yo, what song is this? Yo, I never heard this song. Like, that ain't a song. I made that. It's a song, but it's not a, it sounds like these guys were in the studio together hanging out and they made it where I took a verse, or there are times I'll take a few lines from this song, from the same artist, a few lines from another song, and seamlessly put them together. And if you didn't really know exactly where it came from, especially if it was like a third verse on a song, and next thing you're hearing it, like, yo, what song is this? I never heard it. It's like, a Jay-Z and Nas together in a song, and like, yo, what song is this? On a beat that, that they weren't, you never heard them on before, but now they on this other beat, and there's a whole different new hook, a scratch hook, and it sounds natural. So that's when I realized this is how I'm going to separate myself from the pack, because not everybody, has that type of production skill. Like I said, I was really focused on production for a while.
Right, got you. So you were producing out these mixtapes, like real projects, not just blending records together.
Exactly. These are more like albums. These were like street albums. I wouldn't even, mixtapes kind of belittle what they really were. They were really like albums, because that's how much hours of work. And and also I was using original production where I'd use a beat that I made and put a Jay-Z, a Nas, whoever, 50 Cent, Locks, whoever. I would make a remix with my original production and put these artists on it and make it sound like a collab that, people like, what song is this? I never heard of this. So that's how I separated myself from the pack, because I couldn't compete with the DJ Clues and the K Slays of the world with exclusives. That wasn't really my thing. They had their hustle, and that's how they figured out their lane in the game with exclusives.
Got you. Okay.
Mine was, I ain't gonna play exclusives. I'm gonna make the exclusives. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I got you.
So, and also, just with style, all my mixtapes, you can see that I'm a DJ. They're mixed. I don't really cut up too much on the mixtapes because people kind of, fickle on that, but they were always well mixed, good transitions. Once again, the sound effects and all that helped to build, the mood and the environment of the mixtapes.
Right,
and
right.
The focal point of all of my classic mixtapes was the original, I could say, production, because these weren't just blends. This was, this is like studio stuff, multi-tracking and all that. So it wasn't like I was doing live blend. Like I had done that. I've been there, done that with the live blends, and that's great and all, but to do the stuff I was doing was more studio type applications.
Got it. Okay. So let's say, for conversation's sake, let's just highlight some of the mixtapes that I believe that are highlights of your career, right? So let's just take 5. Let's say that these are the top 5 mixtapes. I want you to just give me a little quick reason why you believe that these might be your top 5, okay? So you brought up the 4 Horsemen series, okay? So I get that. What about Knights of the Round Table series? You had God Brothers, which was Nas and Rakim, right? You had
Correct.
You had the Good Timers series, and then you had Smoking Reggae Classics. Feeling, Smoking.
Feeling Irie.
Yes. Smoking Reggae Classics, Feeling Irie series. Okay.
Definitely.
So this is 5 classic series, mixtapes that you did. Can you tell me why these would be, more of a highlight to some of your other mixtapes, and why these would be, considered top 5?
Just the amount of work that went into all of these. These were all in the same vein of mixtapes where it was majority original material that I was making, where it wasn't just like a best of where you take 20 best songs of Biggie and smack them together. And this was like, I was like the 4 Horsemen. That's Biggie, Jay-Z, Nas, and Tupac. That was the theme of that. And every song had one of them or some combination of them in something that you never heard before. Like you would hear it like, this is you could see the amount of effort I put into it. And
okay, gotcha.
It's like, and same with the Knights of the Round Table. It was a similar type of thing, but it was interchangeable. Whereas 4 Horsemen was those 4 people. The Knights of the Round Table was a similar type thing where it was almost all majority original stuff that I was creating, but it just every different one. There were 4 in that series, 4 Knights of the Round Table, and every one had different artists, different MCs that I featured and I remixed and made new material with.
Okay.
Like that God Brothers 2. That's with Nas and Rakim. Like this was before they even had a song together. This is almost like a album with 2 of them together, a duet album. And at the time I made it, that was like unheard of. Like to hear Nas and Rakim.
Yeah, it was super dope too. Go ahead.
Thank you. And it sounded natural. That's the main thing I wanted for everything that I did, for it to sound natural. Like they were in the studio hanging out together and cranked out some heat. Like, we got some shit.
Right.
Where you wouldn't think, like, I mean, if you knew, you knew that, but if you didn't and you heard like, this is fire. Like, I never heard this song. Like, this guy made that.
Right, right.
So those, and also Feeling Irie was kind of like that on the reggae side, where I was doing a lot of remixes with reggae music and taking like R&B songs and remixing them on reggae rhythms. And it was sounding like, because I mean, if you look back, a lot of, reggae music, especially like in the 80s and 90s, they were doing cover records.
Right.
Where they were re-singing R&B songs. So instead of somebody re-singing a Mary J. Blige song, you have Mary J. Blige singing a reggae song. You have Alicia Keys singing a reggae song where it sounded natural, sound like, yo, this is how they intended to make it.
Right.
It was something that I made, you know. So that's those four, and also, you know, the last one you touched on, which is up there, as you know, as popular as any other. It was Good Times, and that one wasn't really featuring a lot of remixes. That was just a well put together old school, you know, party mix where it was like a party in the can. If you're having a party or a barbecue in the backyard or something, you just put 1 through 4, 1 through 5 in the CD changer, or if you load them up in your iPod or your phone or whatever, you just play top to bottom, and it's a party in the can. You know what I'm saying? Because even with that, I wasn't even planning on doing something like that, because the time I started putting out Good Times, I was really building the name for the remixes, and people were really checking for remixes that I did, and the CDs to be, you know, based on that.
Right.
But as fate would have it, a friend of mine asked me to make a CD for their wedding reception. You know, just a small little thing. They like, yo, we need a party CD. And it went so crazy. Like, it was like, yo, it was like the party year, just off the CD. He's like, yo, bro, you need to put this out.
Gotcha.
I was like, you know what? I will. So I did. And then that was the first one. And after that, I was like, yo, people are really digging this. So I kept doing it. And of course, you know, it wasn't like I just sat down one afternoon and smacked them together. There was a lot of work. Even with the old school jams, I was taking parts and reconstructing parts, and
right.
I wasn't necessarily remixing it, but I was resequencing and making them more mixable and making extended breaks and different kind of things. So it created a certain vibe, and you could see that there's a DJ mixing his ass off on these records. Like, it was really an exhibition of mixing. So that's what Good Times really was, just good party records,
right,
and good party vibes with just, you could hear a lot of good, clean mixing, like DJ mixing. Like the other series, that was like production. That was, studio type work. But this was more DJ. Like, yo, you could hear the transition, how these two beats are going flawlessly, and you could tell, like, yo, this is a real DJ at work here.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, and I wanted to highlight those because I think those, they're all super dope classic mixtapes. But I think some of those, kind of highlighted, your production skills, your blending skills, it wasn't just drops and yelling. You know what I mean? And there's a place for that too. You know what I mean? So, I wanted to highlight those particular mixtapes, because I think those were highlights, of your career. So, you were doing DVDs as well as mixtapes. So at some point, how were you getting the mixtapes out? Was it hand to hand? Did you have like a real distribution system? How were you getting them out there?
I mean, towards the end, it was a straight up business. I was, pretty much like a record label at a certain point where I was, distributing through distributors, and it was all, all kinds of different ways of getting it. But officially, I mean, when I first started, of course, it was just hand to hand. I was walking around with a backpack full of tapes.
Yeah. And
then, from there you find out where the stores are, and you would either do consignment or you would do a master. You would sell a master and the artwork.
Right.
And that's how it was for a little while. And then there were the out of town stores, where this was in the tape time. It was, the masters and consignment was a tape time. And then as things went on to the CD side of it, when, it was getting more advanced, that's when it became more of a wholesale game.
Got you.
So people, you'd do it in bulk.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
then you might have distributors where you might, instead of you dealing with the stores one-on-one in a certain state, you might mail a big, huge box, X amount, to your distributor in this state, your distributor in that state. And as you grow in the game and you meet more people and your name gets a little bigger, that's how it kind of all snowballs together. So from a backpack walking around with tapes to eventually you got distributors across the country, and you got, you got hundreds of pages of stores that you deal with on a wholesale basis for the most part, and distributors. And that's how it was towards the end,
Absolutely.
Of course, we all know that game is over now. But
right,
when, everything is online now. But when we were dealing with physical product, it went from the masters and consignment to wholesale and distributors.
Wow. And you want to throw the bootleggers in there too, right?
Yeah, they would. I mean, well, hey, bootleggers are part of the game. You can't avoid it. And if you weren't being bootlegged, then you weren't hot.
Right.
And the bootleggers were your own official promotional team.
That's right. No.
And there were places in Nebraska or wherever that they got my mixtape from the bootleggers that got it from Canal Street, and then they called me to get it direct from me. So they did me a favor. It's an ecosystem. So the bootleggers played their part in it. So you can't. And
you know what's funny? You don't even know this, but I'm from Omaha, Nebraska, and you just brought that up. That's interesting.
Wow.
So, because it was funny is that through my travels everywhere across the country, I saw the mixtapes everywhere, but they were in Omaha, Nebraska.
They got everywhere. They were
absolutely,
everywhere.
Absolutely. That's why I brought that up. How did you, finally? Because I know at a certain point it became a full-fledged business, no question about it. But the mixtape game was so amazing, aside from it being the promotional tool, for DJs to promote themselves, it was promoting all the music. And then the artists started doing their own mixtapes. Labels started getting involved, obviously. And it was just a huge promo tool. And then here comes the internet, right? So, salute to you, Rondevu, because you got a lot of classic mixtapes. I know you've won a lot of mixtape awards, and you've been highlighted, everywhere, magazines, and, everything that, can a mixtape DJ can obtain, you have. So salute to you. So.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, no question. So let's get back to Das EFX now. So, okay, you've been Das EFX's tour DJ for over 20 years at this point, right? You talked a little bit about how you met them. You went to Virginia, right? And you gave your BCD, etc. So elaborate a little bit on how you became their tour DJ and that ride with them.
Definitely. All right. Yeah, man, it's like out of a movie, you know what I'm saying? So, boom, I met them down in Virginia. And they were, vibing to my beat tape. So from there, we came back to New York, and I was, pretty much became a part of the team, because at that time they had like a crew, and they were trying to become like a label themselves, where they were going to be, of course, their Das EFX, and they had a couple of young talented guys that they were going to try to put out on their own. Some of y'all may know Pacino, who's gone on to do work with Mike Geronimo, most notably with Prodigy of Mobb Deep. He even put out an album with Prodigy.
Gotcha.
So Pacino, he really got his start in the game with Das EFX. So and this is the time they brought me in. I was kind of like the in-house producer. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't even trying to be the DJ. Even I was still a DJ. I was still, I still practiced and stayed nice. And I was still doing parties here and there to make, a couple dollars. I was still doing the mixtapes. I was still doing a little bit of everything.
Right.
But my main focus, I really wanted to see how far I could go with the production. So at that time, I was kind of like the in-house producer with Das EFX. You know what I'm saying? That was my main thing, was producing. So we did a bunch of tracks, some that didn't come out. But if you go to my website or my YouTube page, I have some unreleased tracks.
Right.
But so I'm producing Das EFX. No intentions of becoming a tour DJ. But around this time, DJ Dice, who was the DJ there before me, big up to Dice.
Okay.
He had some stuff going on where he was down south, and he was DJing and I guess also promoting in a club down in North Carolina.
All right.
And around this time, things were kind of slowing down for Das a little bit. So he was down there doing what he had to do. And one day I got a call. Must have been like a Wednesday or a Thursday. And I'm in the crib. I got a call from Das. Yo, what's good? What you doing this weekend? It's like, chilling.
Okay. Right.
Chilling. Yo, you got a passport? Yeah, I got a passport. Yo, we got this show in Brazil. We need you to come DJ the show. I was like, okay. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I was like, yo, almost, that one on one side, one shoulder, the devil like, yo, nah, don't do it. You got something to do. You can't go. But I was like, nah, this is a proverbial opportunity knocking on the door, once in a lifetime chance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's
I
Brazil.
was like,
let's go.
Like, let's go.
Right.
Let's do this. This was back way before Serato. This was before, I believe, even instant replay machines wouldn't play. Even though I never used one of those. So, we went down there. They had a garbage bag with like 20 records in them. Like, all right, this is the show.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, all right. So we got down there, and we went to the sound check, and we just ran through everything. Like, this is the show order. And we were even making up stuff on the fly, like, on the second verse of this song, switch the beat to this record. Or they're like, no, how about we do it? And so we just right there in like an hour, worked out the show on records, on vinyl. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't no Serato. Right. This was records where you could skip, and you got to mix live. And we worked out the show, and we went on later that day. And this wasn't like some little club gig. This was in a stadium with like 10,000 people.
Right,
You know what I'm saying? And this was my first show with Das. This is like a baptism of fire.
Wow.
A stadium with 10,000 people in Brazil. And this is my first time. We just had barely an hour to run through the show and sound check. And here we are. And then, we rocked the show. And then after that, we came back up, and they had a couple of shows lined up for later in the week. I mean, for that month.
Right.
Like, what you doing? Come through. We went out to Vegas, went out to VA, and you know what I'm saying? It was like, we already were building a rapport as me as their producer, as I'm DJing the shows, and they see I'm coming with new ideas, and let's do this and let's do that, and let's change. How about we do this here? And we just had a good chemistry, and we clicked. And that's kind of how it happened. From there, there was an opening with Redman for a DJ, because DJ Twins, whatever happened, they retired, they quit, whatever the case may be.
Right.
Redman needed a DJ, so DJ Dice kind of slid into that slot, and I just assumed the Das Effects DJ.
Wow.
Wow. And that's how since that day been. That was in '99, because I met them in '98. It was in '99 when I filled in for that show in Brazil, and it's been me ever since. That's been, what I'm saying. So we just really hit it off.
So you've toured the world with Das Effects for about 22 years, and you're still their tour DJ today, correct?
To this day.
Wow, incredible.
I can't even count. I mean, how many times been around the world? Numerous times, like places like Germany and France, been there like 40, 50 times, you know what I'm saying? And from touring with them, I parlayed that into solo gig, because the promoters and the club owners would see me destroy the show, because every show I'll get a segment where I get a solo, and they would see just my overall stage presence and performance. And I'm a businessman. I was out there politicking my own moves. So after Das, would do the show, the promoters would bring me back to do a party.
Right.
So I toured numerous times with them, and almost as many times by myself on a solo run.
Nice.
So it was just been a blessing. But
that's incredible.
So it's been 20-something years. 99, almost 23 years. You know what I'm saying? Before you know, it's been 23 years we've been doing it. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy that up until just like last year, we were kind of at the top of our game. There's ups and downs in the game. There's times when we'd be crazy booked, and there's times there's little droughts in between.
Sure.
But the way that things were going, like, we had really had our things really situated in the last few years. We really were in a good place where every winter and every summer, just the people we were working with, we had it kind of down to a science.
Right.
Every winter and every summer, we'd be gone for like a month each time. And in between, of course, we'd have little spot dates here and there, whether it might be a weekend, like a 3-4 day weekend out of the country, or just a spot date, 1 or 2 on the weekend or whatever. I mean, we did the Barclays Center a few times, Radio City Music Hall.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, Das Effects is a phenomenal group, multi-platinum artists. Salute to Scoob and Dre. I mean, they're amazing, and the run is gonna keep going, no question about it. So
yeah, as soon as the world open back up, what I'm saying?
Right.
Hopefully
Absolutely.
it does. I mean, because that's the only thing that's keeping us home from overseas right now is this whole lockdown situation. Because literally, we were on top of our game. Literally, right before the lockdown, we came home. Our last run, we finished at the end of February 2020. And a couple days after that, in March, Europe, the world shut down.
Right, absolutely. We're going to get back to it.
So we barely made it back. Yeah.
Right, no question. So, Rondevu, would you say, now we talked about, your breakout moment back then, right? Back in the day when you were DJ Crime, you know what I mean? And then, you become DJ Rondevu, right? Would you say that your national breakout moment, or at least one of them, was your appearances on Rap City or MTV or whatnot? Would you say that those were the national breakout moments for you?
They definitely helped, you know what I'm saying? Like I really stateside is when I really became more popular with the mixtapes, and being on Rap City definitely helped propel me to different levels. I've been on there 5 times as the guest. Like a lot of times you see a DJ be on and he just be back there like furniture because they got somebody else as the main guest, and DJ back there, they give him like 2 seconds to shine, and then he's like a houseplant back there. You know what I'm saying?
Right, absolutely.
Every time they had me on, I was the guest, you know what I'm saying, with just me and Big Tigger, or me and Mad Links, and I was the focus of the show, so that definitely, helped me get my profile up in a big way.
Right,
so
right.
That definitely helped. I mean, and also when my bigger mixtapes, when like the 4 Horsemen, and I finally turned the corner, and I kind of definitely made it to that higher level in the game. It was at the same time that Rap City started bringing me on. So they definitely went hand in hand with each other.
Absolutely.
They would you know what I mean? So that right there, stateside, because internationally, of course, they know me for the mixtape, but internationally, they know me more for touring with Das Effects, whereas in the States, as crazy as it may seem, unless you've seen us live, you don't really know that I'm touring with Das Effects. I'm Das Effects DJ, because Das Effects isn't really a quote-unquote relevant group around now, or even for the last 20 years, you know what I'm saying? Like overseas, they love real hip-hop. They give Das Effects, they give us the respect that we deserve and have earned.
Absolutely.
But here in America, ain't nobody really checking for 90s hip-hop artists. I mean, we do shows. Don't get it twisted. We do shows, and there are, people that still appreciate what we do. But it's just a different ball game,
Absolutely. Well, that's the reason why I approached the interview the way I did and started it off with the mixtape aspect of your career and then got to the Das Effects. Because, yes, I do believe on this side of the pond, everyone knows you as, the legendary mixtape DJ. On that side of the pond, it's going to be Das Effects as DJ. No question about it.
Definitely. That's it.
So let's talk about you as a producer now, some of your production, right? So I know you've produced for Das Effects. You've done some tracks for ESPN, and I know you've produced out your mixtapes. Phenomenal, by the way. So talk to me a little bit about your production. Who else have you possibly produced, and your approach as a producer?
Oh, man. Well, as a producer, I mean, I started, sample, it was mainly sample-based, and big up to Premier. That's probably my biggest influence as a producer, just looking at Premier and his creativity with samples and taking something that somebody else might have used and making it sound like something completely different. And I started out mainly just sample-based, and as I grew, I started to incorporate different things, keyboards and such, just and live instrumentation that I would play most of the time, just to get a different sound, where a lot of it still might have been sample-based. I just tried to have a diverse style where it could be keyboard, it could be a combination of keyboard and sample, or it could just be straight samples. But definitely, I come from the boom bap era, and that was the biggest influence for me. And big up to Premier, and alongside that is Dre, because that's where like a lot of I said I could play keyboards on this too, like Dre. Even though, we all know he doesn't necessarily make them all himself hands-on, but, there's a middle ground between samples and keyboard. So I definitely tried to be as creative as I could with both mediums,
Okay, cool.
And as far as production, I mean, I was during that time when I was really locked in on producing. I was working with Thurston Howell III and Klepto from Junior Mafia, and of course Das, and working on stuff like Pacino and Mike Geronimo. We had some stuff we were working on, and a lot of other up and coming artists. Genovese, I used to do stuff with Jadakiss and the Locks. He did some stuff for me, and Nature Born, and I was working with a lot of up and coming groups, and I was working with some of these other artists here. So that's where like all these people, I've worked with them. We've done songs together. Even in the last couple of years, I got even a song that I co-produced with my man from Macedonia, DJ Gose, on a Group Home album.
Okay.
But once I really started to focus on the mixtapes, I wasn't really trying to get placements on anybody's albums because I was placing those beats on my own albums.
Right.
Or my mixtapes, because my mixtapes were, pretty much albums. And I was, my whole business model was running it like an independent record label. Yeah, and my mixtapes were albums. And I also put out original albums, like I have, as well as with the DVDs, I put out original studio album with completely original music. No mixtape stuff, like studio songs with DOS Effects, Smith & Wesson, Nature Born, and Genovese, Pacino, and Balance. That was a pretty hitting artist from West Coast around that time.
Right. What was the name? What was the name of this album?
This album was Dangerous Minded Volume 2.
Got you. Okay, go ahead.
And so I put out actual, like I said, my whole business model was running it like a record label, because I was pretty much an independent record label, and I was just producing on my own albums.
Got you.
After a while, you're running around trying to get with this guy, and you're playing the beats, and then they don't got the budget, and I was like, you know what, man, I'm just gonna produce my own stuff. I've kind of got a body work with an artist, and that was cool. But at this time, or that time, it's better for me just to put my own production on my own projects, and that's what I was doing. All these mixtapes, like I said, not only were they remixes from industry beats, they were original beats that I made on all of these projects.
Right. Absolutely. So I want to talk to you about the mixtape game, right? I want to see what your opinion is on the evolution of the mixtape game. All the way from back in the very beginning with Hollywood and Flash, Love Bug Starsky, Kid Capri, Ron G, Doo-Wop, Green Lantern, Drama, K-Slay, Clue. The list just goes on and on, right? Legendary mixtapes. Talk to me about your opinion on the evolution of the mixtape game from then till now. And what do you think is the future for mixtapes?
Well, from then till now, it kind of had its peaks and valleys, and then, I don't know, it's like it hit its prime some years back, and it's changed. It's like it's completely changed, because now when you think of a mixtape, you think of an artist putting out songs but just not calling it an album.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. So nowadays, mixtape, you don't even think of the DJ. Like, the DJ has pretty much been pretty much eliminated from the mixtape. Like,
right.
Like, there's no more mixtape game. Like, I don't know of any DJ that's making mixtapes anymore. Especially, like, you might find one or two like niche DJs that are, making like a theme mixtape, and it's usually the older music. As far as putting out mixtapes, there's no DJ mixtapes anymore. It's only artist mixtapes, making street albums, if you will, because they're pretty much just albums that they're not putting out through on the major label, but it's still the same premise, and it's just called a mixtape.
Yeah, they're not mixing no music. Absolutely
no
not.
Mixing. There's no DJs mixing, cutting and scratching and doing transitions. That's
right.
I can't even think of the last time I've even seen, or it's like pretty much extinct.
Well, that's why I asked you what's the future, because I don't even know if there is a future. But what do you think killed that? Do you think that it was all the DJs moved on to bigger and better things, or do you feel like once the artists started getting involved doing their own CDs, it killed the inspiration or that motivation for the mixtape DJ? What do you think stopped?
All of those things. Definitely when artists said, hey man, we don't need this DJ on no more. I could just smack this together myself. It don't gotta be mixed. And also the internet. You know, the DJ was the gateway to new music to most people.
Right.
Because that was before the time of YouTube and and Spotify and all these other streaming stuff. Before, either you went to the store and you bought the album, or you got the mixtape that had a variety of different things from different artists and stuff that didn't come out, that you had to hear it on the mixtape. Now you could be in your crib in your drawers and you go right on YouTube and you got everything.
Right.
So the DJ had just been removed from the equation. You know, They were the middleman between the public and the music. Now they got rid of the middleman and the public is just going directly to the music. And they like, F the DJ. We don't need him no more. Like the DJ, if you notice, you know, the DJ went from being the front, you know, from the Cool Herc days, and the MC was behind him. They were there to support the DJ. Then then the MC went front the table, and it was they were right in front of the table. Then they started pushing DJ on the table to the back of the stage.
Right.
And now there ain't no DJ no more. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
You know, so it's crazy. The DJ has been pretty much eliminated. Now, of course, with hip-hop, real hip-hop groups like DOS Effects, the DJ is there. The DJ has to be there. It's not hip-hop without the DJ.
That's correct.
But this stuff nowadays, I don't even know if I'll call it hip-hop. I don't even know. You know, it's not the art form of hip-hop that we knew it to be.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I
agree. MCs, the DJs and MCs, there was no separating them. They went hand in hand. You saw one, you saw the other, because they needed each other.
Right.
They depended on each other. Now it's a whole different business model, and it's a whole different ball game. And the DJ isn't needed. The DJ had to become the producer. The DJ had to become the record exec.
Right.
You know, ain't no more DJ Drama, the mixtape DJ. DJ Drama is the A&R. He's the label man. He's running the label now. But as you know, hey, I'm not mad at him. We all did similar things. We all doing big, quote unquote, bigger and better things. But there's nobody left to fill that spot. That spot has been eliminated.
Well, see, that's what's interesting about it, is because anybody else who would come in and grab that title or extend that, right? These are younger DJs, and they don't believe in the younger DJs are all into the internet and the digital side, so they're not really trying to, take that mantle, right? And take from what Doo-Wop and Lantern and Drama and K-Slay and yourself and Ron G did, right? Because all of these individuals like yourself have graduated to making commercial albums, right? And so what's the motivation to do a mixtape? So who else is to continue that on, right? There's no one, right? So it just
exactly
the culture just dies. Is that right?
It's dying, like even DJ culture, like nobody cares no more about the DJ in a lot of ways. Of course, there are people and there's niches and, of people that still appreciate the DJ, but overall, in the broad sense of things, nobody cares who the DJ is anymore. And in a lot of ways, it's been devalued because anybody could be a DJ. Anybody, if you got an internet connection and you can download music, you could be a DJ because you don't even need to be able to DJ anymore. The software could do it for you now.
Right. No doubt.
There's no sacrifice in it no more. Like before, like I said, I was in high school, I wasn't eating lunch. I was taking my lunch money to buy records. Now the music is free. It mixes it for you. You can just put a playlist and it'll match it and everything for you like a DJ. It won't have the little subtle nuances, but the computer could do it for you now.
Absolutely. No question about it.
There's no talent barrier anymore. Anybody can do it.
Right. Well, this is the reason why I even do Vinyl Esquire, is to continue to push forward the DJ culture. You know what I mean? Because like yourself, you're still doing it. You're still touring. You're still working on music, as so many of your counterparts are still doing great things. You know what I mean?
Definitely. And as far as keeping it alive, every show, it's in the rider. We have to have turntables. I'm not going out with a controller or something that, granted, we use Serato nowadays, but that's about as far as it goes, because I still got to keep honoring the tradition that got me here. These two turntables,
no doubt.
Those two turntables changed my life, and I can't just all of a sudden go and get an instant replay machine and press buttons. Like that'll take away the whole heart and soul of what we do out there on that stage.
Right, no doubt.
And when the people see what I do with those turntables, well, there's some DJs that, I ain't gonna lie, they come to me after the show like, either I want to do this now because I saw you, or I saw you such and such years ago, and now I am a DJ because I saw what you do, and it inspired me because it's not just the same old that everybody else is doing. Like I could see, wow, the amount of work and effort, to do real, authentic DJing and hip hop. So,
right.
But that's mostly overseas. Over here in America, in a lot of ways, most people don't care. I mean, after we do a show, and the shows that we do, we have a certain audience that appreciates it. But as far as younger kids, they couldn't give a damn about turntablism and turntables and real hip hop. They just want to get the auto tune and get some money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's all about money. There's no love of the art. Like if you made it from our era, you had to love it to get before you got money, because you wasn't getting to the money without paying dues and doing it for free or paying out of your own pocket to go get whatever it might be, to pay for studio time or pay for records or whatever.
Right. No doubt. No, and we gonna keep the DJ culture moving forward. No question about it. So, Rondevu, what other projects did you work on aside from your mixtapes and working with DOS Effects? Now, I know you've done satellite radio in the past and a few other business ventures. What other projects have you worked on in your career?
Well, of course, I did do Sirius satellite radio for a little while, but one thing that I don't think I really get the credit for is my work on DVDs, on the DVD game, and being a pioneer in the DVD game. Like I was one of the first. I'm not gonna say I was the first, but when it came time for the DVD game, I was one of the first people to do it, because around that time, I'm talking like 2001.
Right, right.
This is barely even before a DV video, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, yo, man, I got something to show. I'm around the way. I could be around the way on Wednesday, Thursday morning, I get on a flight. Next that night, I'm in Paris. The next night, I'm in London. The next night, I'm in Germany. Sunday, I fly back, and I'm right back on the block Monday morning, and you would be none the wiser unless I told you.
Right. So you film it all.
So I was like, yo, I gotta film this. I gotta share this with people, and not only sharing overseas with people here in America, but sharing America with people overseas. Like I was doing like documentary work. I was going into the projects and showing inside the projects and in the stairwells in the projects, so people overseas could see how things are over here.
Got you.
So, and even, later on down the line, because I never really was putting it out like a franchise where I was putting it out like every month or every season. Like the first DVD I did was more just as a statement to put it out there. Not necessarily that I need to come up with 10 more behind it, but one was going to be enough to show, hey, look at this. And at that time, Harlem Music Cut, they took a real liking to it, because it was like on repeat all day, every day. Like I couldn't tell you how many people came up to me after, like, yo, your DVD stays on repeat on the screen in Harlem Music Cut. Harlem Music Cut was like one of the, if not the biggest mixtape spots in New York or ever. That's the legendary Harlem Music Cut.
Gotcha.
So, and tons of people like, bro, I seen the mixtape, your DVD, with you overseas and all this crazy shit, and you with these crazy Macedonian motherfuckers.
Right.
Yo.
Right.
They're playing it every day. And even other dudes that went on to make, they came out with DVD lines. We might have met somewhere along the line. Like, bro, I remember your shit was like, yo, I want to do this, because I wasn't running around with no high-end video camera. The first one I did was like with a VHS-C home camera, like the little tape you put into the VHS kind of housing and you put it in.
Right.
I was using one of those, but I was like, yo, man, this is priceless footage here that I'm getting. So it doesn't matter if I don't have the broadcast quality cameras. I gotta share this.
Right.
And it was accepted everywhere. Yo, they were like, this is some raw, gritty shit.
Right.
And it was, so if that, really inspired a lot of other people in the DVD game.
So give me some of the DVD titles.
Well, I don't want to, say they're like, yo, he was sweating, like, sweating him, but, a lot of other ones around that time, that people that came out with DVDs, they saw my joint.
Right. No, I'm saying, what were some of your DVD titles?
Oh, well, the first one was Dangerous Minded.
Okay.
That was the first one, and then Dangerous Minded 2, which was the album I told you about. It was a CD and a DVD.
Right. Got you.
At that time, nobody was doing that.
Okay.
And this was all independent. This was like an independent album, independent DVD, all out. And then the last DVD I made was Ghetto Penthouse on TV. And with that one, it was more, along the same lines, a lot of artist interviews, show footage. And, on that one, I had like Rick Ross, The Clips, Lil Wayne, Das Effects, Redman, Sean Price. I mean, that was another solid piece of work that, a lot of people, they may or may not know, but I was doing all these things years before, a lot of this stuff is even before YouTube.
Right.
Because before
question.
YouTube, as a matter of fact, that's what killed the DVD game. Because before YouTube, the DVD game was YouTube.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So it's really the internet, period. The downloads, the internet, from the mixtape, hard mixtape game, and then the DVD as well, the YouTube. So it's just the internet, right?
Yeah, the internet changed everything, because with a DVD, you could be running around filming, for a month, 2 months, and, getting footage and editing it down. And then they got to send the master off to the factory for a week or two, and then you get it back. And, now with YouTube, you go film the footage, you come home, you edit it down, and you upload it that night.
Right, right, no doubt.
Because you could just put out one little segment. Like before, you're not going to put out a DVD with a 10-minute interview.
Right.
So you'd have to build up enough to fill up a whole DVD, and by the time you did that, that could be 1 to 3 months.
Absolutely, no question.
Then of course, it's a physical product. The factory got to do it. Take a week or two. YouTube, instant, same day. So that completely killed.
Yeah.
Killed.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Well, what you contributed to the DVD hip hop game was dope. Your mixtapes, incredible. Das Effects, the production, the touring, all of those, particular projects that you worked on, super duper dope. So, Rondevu, what projects are you currently working on? What's new?
Well, right now, I mean, the main things I'm doing with music are pretty much, touring with Das. And, I run my website, and I'm about to start, being more consistent on YouTube, So as far as music, that's pretty much where it is. Mainly, I want to get back out there touring with Das Effects, because I've kind of, grown out of the party scene. I'm not really into that at this point, but going out on that stage and performing with my guys and destroying them turntables, that's going to be my focus as far as music. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really got too much else. I really trying to prove music to nobody at this point. I've kind of done what I wanted to do in the game, and now I'm doing other things outside of music. You know what I'm saying? Got some property, I'm investing, I'm doing other things.
Wonderful.
But as far as music, the concerts and the tours, that's my focus, and that's why I'm looking forward to getting back out there and doing my thing on that stage and doing the concerts again. And that's really where I want to put the majority, if not all, of my energy, aside from the internet stuff, the videos on YouTube and my website, just destroying that stage. And even if it's just one DJ that I inspired, like I want to master those turntables like that guy. If it's just one more, there's been many, and hopefully there'll be many more. So that's the tradition I'm trying to keep alive, keeping real hip hop, DJing, and turntables alive.
Any new music, album, or maybe even a mixtape in the future for Rondevu?
Maybe, I mean, you never know as a matter of fact, just a couple years ago, it had been a while since I made my last mixtape, and about I think 3 years ago,
Right.
I was motivated to come out of retirement and probably drop what might be up there with some of my best work. It was right around the time that Jay-Z had came out with his 444 album.
Yes.
And I was like, man, I remember there was a project that I never really got around to that I started taking some notes on, but just things happened where it never really came to fruition. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do one more. And Jay-Z had 444. I came out with the 555.
Okay.
And it was in the same vein as all my classic mixtapes where I was making new Jay-Z songs.
Nice.
So if you want to check that out, it's on, everything the base of everything is my website, djrondevu.com. You won't really find too much of this Jay-Z project on YouTube because I tried to upload some stuff there and they were blocking it. But
of course,
but my SoundCloud, if you go to my SoundCloud, DJ Rondevu, it has the entire 555 Jay-Z, the Testament of Hova. That's what it is. 555, the Testament of Hova. And it's on my SoundCloud. But if you go to, everything is right on my website. So if you can't, it's right on my website. Just go to the blog and you'll find it in the post there.
Nice.
Jay-Z 555 Testament of Hova. That was my last mixtape. It very well might be my last. You never know, but it's up there. That's some of my best work. It was, once again, it was making went virals, making reviews on the hip hop sites, getting thousands of views, and it made a a nice little buzz when it came out because nobody had done something like that in years. It's been
right.
Nobody does those type of mixtapes no more, and they probably never will. You know what I'm saying? But I was like, nah, man, this is for the culture because the game is over. There ain't no money to be made in it. I just did this for hip hop.
Got you.
For the art.
Right. Any plans on re-releasing all of your classic mixtapes?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to upload as many of them. Matter of fact, that you say that, I've been in the last week beginning to upload to YouTube. So check out my YouTube page, YouTube DJ Rondevu. There's going to be issues here and there because just in the last week I tried to upload 4 mixtapes and 2 of them were blocked because of copyright. You know how it is with the copyright issues.
Right, absolutely.
But hey, they let a couple of them through. So right now, just in the last week, I uploaded the 4 Horsemen Part 1 and Part 3. They blocked Part 2 when I uploaded it. But the 4 Horsemen Part 1 and the 4 Horsemen Part 3, the entire mixtape is on my YouTube right now. So you can listen to that in the car, in the crib, in the bathroom, wherever, goddamn, you know what I'm saying?
Right. No question. That's super dope. That's super
dope. Because I have an online store where you could, get the CDs, the autographed CDs.
Wonderful.
But
okay.
And that everything once again is on the website. That's the base for anything you need to find out about me. Josh Effect shows, you name it, djrondevu.com. But my entire CD catalog, well, the classics. I put out hundreds, but I only put the classics. Because I was in between the classic mixtapes. I was putting out kind of the regular mixtapes.
Right.
Where it was more of the current music, but just put together like a DJ, not a pause tape where it's new shit and then pause. There's a big bunch of air. Then nah, I couldn't do that. So for those type of mixtapes, if you got them when they came out, good. If not, it's gone. But DJRondevu.com has all the classics, the ones that live forever.
Right. That's why I highlighted those top 5. No question. DJRondevu.com, right?
Yes, sir. DJRONDEVU.com. Like my man Sam made it. Rondevu, not Rondevu. You know what I'm saying?
No question. Okay. So Rondevu, I got a tricky question for you. In your opinion, it could be one of yours or not, but honestly, in your opinion, what was the best mixtape ever made?
The best mixtape ever made. Wow.
Your honest opinion.
Man. Wow. That's when I got to really kind of sit on, because there have been some great ones throughout the years, man. But
Okay.
That's a tough one because there's so many and for different reasons. You know, there might be like there could be a great Clue tape that, you know, just because he had some ridiculous songs on there that like some freestyles, like, you know, a Clue tape doesn't age very well. You know what I'm saying? Like you hear now, like a lot of just album tracks that were exclusive at the time, but he had some CDs too that he had freestyles like from top to bottom. Like yo, so I'm not hating on Clue. So there's a different kind of greatest because there could be a greatest mix tape or greatest blends or it could be a greatest reggae tape. So there's so many variables into that question. I would have to really think about it because that'd be too hard to on the spot come up with one.
Got you. Well, I mean, do you have a favorite?
Do I have a favorite? Not really. You know what I'm saying? You know, not any one in particular. I'm like, yo, this is my favorite. I got favorites.
Right. Okay. What's some of your favorite Rondevu tapes and other DJ tapes? Just give me a few.
Oh man. Well, gotta go with, you know, my Feelin' Irie CD. Sometimes I just want to cool out. Hear some good reggae music. Feelin' Irie 4, 5, or 6. Those are some of the best reggae tapes you'll ever hear.
Okay.
Then, man, as far as other DJs, I don't really listen to too many other DJs.
Okay.
But, man, there was a mixtape that I haven't listened to in a while, but Nell Star, he did a best of Jay Dilla some years back. That was a pretty good mixtape. DJ Vlad and Dirty Harry and Green Lantern, you know, the rap phenomenons, they were pretty solid.
Right.
You know, those are up more my lane of mixtapes where creativity was involved and skills, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And, man, of course, all of my classics, all of them Knights of the Round Table, those Four Horsemen, God Brothers, Napalm, my Napalm series, all of those are front to back listens 15, 20 years later. You just put it in and leave it.
Got you.
You know,
no question.
A lot of other DJs, go to track 4, go to track 14, go to track 19. All right, eject it. Nah. Put my joint in from the intro. You could tell it's going down. You know, that's because most DJs they couldn't even make an intro. You know,
right.
When you hear my intro, you like, yo, it's about to go down. This guy is not playing. It's a front to back listen. You don't need to fast forward.
Right.
It's a journey. Question. That's how I try to. My mixtapes are like a journey, a movie. You know what I'm saying? Got the beginning. You know, got the intro. You got to build up. Got the climax.
Yes.
You know, and got the cruise out.
Yep. No question.
It's an experience. It's an entire mixtape experience. That's what I'm trying to create when I make a mixtape.
Absolutely. Super dope. And once again, a lot of classic mixtapes. So, Rondevu, can you define to me your DJ style?
Diverse. You know, like a lot of guys that would be good at one thing, but they were kind of lacking in others in a big way. You know, like I wouldn't want to say the term jack of all trades, but I would kind of consider myself like a master of all trades in DJing because, I mean, I've put in the 10,000 hours in every aspect of it, whether, you know, doesn't matter the genre. I've studied it, you know, whether it's just, you know, scratching, mixing, turntablism, knowing how to rock a party, understanding selections, and knowing music, and continue to be. I still am a student of it.
Right.
So,
okay.
Well-rounded is what you would call me. Well-rounded. I could do everything well.
Wonderful. Absolutely. Well, the work speaks for itself, no question. So, Rondevu, before we get out of here, can you give me one backstory from your career, one tour story, one story that people will say, wow, now that was incredible, something memorable from your history? Just one story quickly.
Oh, man. Well, there's so many, but the one that when I tell people they can't believe it is the time that I went to Australia and I was the Dream Team's official after party DJ.
Okay.
However, that didn't come to be. When I was coming through the airport, I guess the customs guy, he didn't want to let me through. You know, Australia, you know, is a very racist place. And probably even more so 20 years ago in the 2000 Olympics. So I was coming through customs with my crates of records, and I don't know, there must have just been the Brooklyn vibe on me. I was like, come to the back. You know, they actually went on to tell my people out there that brought me that they thought I was a drug dealer. So we went to the back room. They searched all my records. They searched me. No drugs. Like, yo, I'm clean, man. No criminal record. No nothing. But I guess this guy had it out for me. They wanted to deport me. Like, whoa. So they kind of found some type of way to say that I have the wrong visa, and we'll send you home. Like, whoa, bro. Whoa, I'm here for the Olympics. I'm not here.
Wow.
I'm here for the Olympics. You want to speak to my people that, you know, that booked me for this? So I got in contact with them like, yo, there's some bull going on here at this airport. These people not trying to let me through because it was a transfer flight. I believe I was coming into Melbourne, and that was the first port of entry. Then I had to connect and go to Sydney. So I'm coming through, and then, you know, they got me in the back. Finally, I got a phone call to my people, and I was like, yo, something got to happen, man. They're trying to deport me on the next thing out of here. They're like, we on it. So I'm in this back room in the airport all day. And then later that night, around the time, I'm thinking, you know, they getting ready to put me back on the plane, go back to America. They came back to security guards, and they're like, you know, and they had the representative with them. And they were like, you know, you don't know who you are, who you know, but there was an injunction from the high court that we can't deport you. So I'm thinking to myself, yeah, you see, shouldn't be fucking with the kid, goddamn it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Well, that wasn't the case because it was a Friday. Now, mind you, it's Friday night now. So they couldn't just let me go. You know, there was an injunction. That means that it's going to face, you know, have to go to the court. So it's Friday night. So they couldn't just let me out and to populate into the city, into, you know, so they said, hey, well, you're going to the immigrant detention center. Like, okay, AKA jail. You know, the place where they send the criminals after they do their jail term.
What did you, but what did you do?
Nothing.
Wow. Okay, go on. I'm sorry.
Nothing. I had done nothing. So my people had the injunction from the high court come down, but they couldn't just let me go. That, you know, they had to have a lawyer go, you know, hear my case on Monday.
Wow.
It's Friday night. So they're like, all right, well, you're going to the immigrant detention center. And when I tell people, like, to picture where I was going, imagine a cross between two things. You know, in Scarface,
right,
you know,
right.
The camp under the highway where we venga, there, and Midnight Express.
Wow.
You combine those two elements, and that's where I was, in the immigrant detention center jail.
And you were going over there to DJ for the
To
Olympics.
DJ for the Olympics. And then Monday came, I'm in the jail for the whole weekend.
Wow.
And Monday come, they go see the judge, and they're deliberating, and they have to continue till Wednesday. Like, oh, God. So I'm like, yo, man, I'm just going to just ride it out. You know, I was cool in the jail. Matter of fact, I was the guy in there. After the first day, they would call me Tupac, and, you know, I was kind of the dude up in there real quick.
Wow.
But, I mean, I'm still in the jail. You know what I'm saying? So then they say, Wednesday, they'll continue deliberations. Wednesday come, and they're like, well, maybe Friday. I'm out of here. Deport me. Send me home. So they deported me. I was like, hey, man, I'm going to troop it out. I'm going to go make some power moves with the Dream Team. You know what I'm saying? And it'll be over. But after it just kept going on, and I'm here in this jail with all these goddamn criminals. These criminals from all over the world, from Africa, from the Middle East, from China. This is where they go after they do their jail term and until they kick them out the country. Wow. And I'm here in the mix with all these guys for almost a week, where I was like, enough is enough. And I had the option to just get deported and not fight it. I was like, send my ass home. So wow. I got deported, and to this day I can't go back to Australia because of that.
And you
Matter
still
of fact,
did nothing. You did nothing.
nothing, not a thing.
Wow.
The customs officer thought I looked like a drug dealer. However, I had no drugs. I have no drug conviction, no criminal record at all. And then he tried to get me on some visa technicality.
Insane.
That was the worst experience and the craziest in my whole touring career.
Well, thank God that you've never went through that again, right?
No, well, I'm banned from Australia, so I'll never go back there.
Wow. And you were headed over there to DJ for the Olympics. Wow, that's insane. That's an insane story.
Yeah, in the Immigrant Detention Center jail.
Well, Rondevu, wow. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I mean, that's definitely not good news. You know what I mean? So, wow.
Well, hey, man, with the good comes the bad, because all the great moments I've had, there's had to be some story like this as well. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Wow, insane. DJ Rondevu, how can our listeners continue to follow you?
Well, definitely the home of it all. DJRondevu.com, DJRONDEVU.com. That's everything you want to know about me. It'll lead you to everything. You know what I'm saying? So the website, DJRondevu.com. Of course, also my YouTube page, YouTube/DJ Rondevu, has tons of videos of me on tour all over the world with DOS Effects, videos of me everywhere doing crazy stuff, all kind of mixtapes. I'm in the process of uploading my entire classic mixtape catalog. So whatever YouTube doesn't block and ban, it will be there. There's tons of remixes I've done. There's all kinds of unreleased tracks. I've got a backlog of stuff that I plan on uploading. I mean, there's a lot of stuff up there already, but moving forward, I plan to really step up my YouTube game.
Okay.
So please go to my YouTube page and subscribe. You got to make sure you subscribe so that you know when I drop new stuff, and I'll be dropping new stuff on the regular. New stuff, as well as a lot of the classic stuff that it'll be there for life. You know what I'm saying? Classic, timeless material.
Got you. What's the social media?
Everything is DJ Rondevu. You can check me out on Facebook and on Instagram. It's DJ Rondevu. Just in the last year or so, I really cut back a lot on social media, but I haven't disconnected the pages. They're still up, and I've started going back on there a little bit. I'm not really trying to be too heavy with the social media, but I will be posting up there to let you know when there's new material coming out, like on the website or on the YouTube page or on some upcoming shows.
Right.
I'll be making posts for that. I'm kind of really not messing with social media like that, but I will use it for what it's for, to promote stuff that's coming out. So I'll definitely be posting all the good stuff that's coming down.
Wonderful. But the home is DJRondevu.com.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Well, Rondevu, I want to thank you for allowing me to interview you for Vinyl Esquire. Vinyl Esquire is the DJ podcast that uplifts the DJ culture and honors our legends, and you are definitely a legendary mixtape DJ, dope producer, legendary tour DJ. Salute DOS Effects, DVDs, mixtapes. Everything that you've done for the DJ culture and the mixtape culture is incredible. And I just want to thank you for allowing me to spend some time with you, pull the layers back, and get really deep into the DJ Rondevu story.
Hey, man, thank you, bro. It's been a pleasure, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And you have been listening to Vinyl Esquire. This is the DJ podcast that uplifts the DJ culture and honors our legends. And this is DJ Rondevu.
Hello world, I want to welcome you to Vinyl Esquire, the podcast that delivers culture, truth, music.